Hi guys, my name is Charles Nguyen. This is Natsuki Subaru's Top 10 Rules to Success, and I hope you enjoy it.
本当は分かってたさ。全部俺が悪いんだってことぐらい。俺は最低だ。俺が大嫌いだよ。
Can a person be happy if his life is filled with suffering? Isekai animes are great. You leave your boring, monotonous, negative life for an exciting harem-filled fantasy adventure world where you get to be the hero. Well, for those who agree, just be careful what you wish for. And welcome to the world of ReZero. Today's hero is Natsuki Subaru. He is a carefree, friendly, 17-year-old slacker who has the power to leap back in time upon his death. However, when he dies, he experiences all the pain and trauma of dying. Every time. It weighs heavily on his spirit, threatens his peace of mind, heroic spirit, and sanity. Nevertheless, the longer Subaru is in this world, the more he repeatedly makes the hard choice to die terrifying and painful deaths over and over again because he is moved by one thing: his love for others. To Subaru, success isn't glory, power, and less gratification. Rather, he finds success in protecting others. He's a humble hero with a friendly nature who will do anything to save his loved ones. And he's a hero to all the good people in this new world which he is transported to. In a way, Subaru is an ordinary guy, but with one of the biggest hearts ever. And that is exactly what makes him one of the greatest heroes in anime. If you believe success is found in courage, chivalry, and love for humanity and demi-humanity alike, I can hardly think of a better role model than Subaru. So please enjoy. This is Natsuki Subaru's Top 10 Rules to Success. Rule number 1. Live or die by negotiation. Subaru is very weak. He's weak, bad at casting magic, and average in intelligence, so how is it that he's able to survive? Through his powers of negotiation. In the first story arc, he negotiates to trade Emilia's insignia for a cheap flip phone.
これがミーティアの力だ。時間を切り取って凍結させることができる世界で一つだけの貴重品。さあ、どうよ。
Rule number 2. Have a sense of humor. How does a person who suffers death many times stay positive? I'll bet it isn't easy. Everyone makes fun of him. He has every right to complain about how unfair things are for him, and he doesn't have much in the way of riches. However, Subaru's positive attitude is like a light that shines ever brightly through the darkness of his circumstance. To keep his light burning, Subaru wields his sense of humor with extreme dexterity, come what may.
ラムにはないもんがレムにある。それ認めてこうぜ。レムは優しくて努力家で一生懸命で、あと胸がラムより大きい。
Rule number 3. Have people worth fighting for. Emilia. She is his first reason for fighting. But then there's Rem. Somewhere down the line she became a person whom he loved and was also willing to die for over and over again to save. And the list doesn't end there. Rem and Beatrice, Roswell, and especially Otto. Just kidding. But the point remains the same. Subaru has a giant heart that loves and yearns to protect the people he meets along his journey in this new world. In one of the most poignant scenes in the show, we see how Subaru isn't just motivated by a love for a girl, but how he is willing to stake his life for kids whom he barely knows. Rule number 4. Showmanship. Subaru is a fun guy and has a knack for showmanship. He doesn't meekly approach the stage of life, he attacks it boldly, charming all who have the privilege of witnessing him. This showmanship comes in handy not just in impressing others, but in impressing upon himself that he and not his environment creates the joy in his world.
ここに取り出しましたるは1枚のギザ銃にございます。 さてこれをギュッと手で握りつぶしてやります。グッグッとな。するとあら不思議。はい、消えたコインはこんなところにおりました。
Rule number 5. Tolerance. Despite being kind to everyone, Subaru doesn't approve of the intolerant attitudes of the people in Lagunica. In this world, people have an inherited fear of the witch of envy, Satsula. She is so deeply feared that she is immortalized in children's fairy tales. Therefore, it's understandable that the citizens of Lagunica fear Satsula. It is literally programmed into them by their environment from birth. What does this have to do with intolerance? While the world fears the jealous witch and Emilia bears a striking resemblance to Satsula, her appearance marks her as a target for people's hostilities, and it's not that the citizens of Lagunica are bad people. However, intolerance is tricky, and one is oftentimes not even aware of this insidious force because it's ingrained into us on a subconscious level. Be that as it may, Subaru doesn't see Emilia through the lens of intolerance. Instead, he sees her as the beautiful and kind-hearted Emilia whom he loves.
私ハーフエルフ。
知ってるよ。
金色の髪でハーフエルフで魔女と見た目が似てるからっていろんな人から疎まれてるし嫌われてるの。本当にすごく嫌われてるの。
見てた、知ってる。見る目のねえやつらだよ。エミリアが誰になんて言われて自分で自分をどう思っていようと、俺は君が好きだよ。大好きだ。超好きだ。
Rule number 6. Stand by your convictions. One of the greatest dramas for fans of ReZero is the question of whom Subaru belongs with. However, to Subaru he has already committed himself. In one of the most beautiful and tragic moments of the show, Rem confesses her love to Subaru. In his greatest moment of fear and weakness, she selflessly turns down her own desire to live a life with the love of her life to save the character of this person whom she loved. When Subaru is given the courage to continue in his journey, he stands by his conviction.
レム、俺はエミリアが好きだ。
Rule number 7. Do your radio calisthenics. Calisthenics, stretches, or priming your body. Whatever you call it, Subaru generates energy by using his mind-body connection to the fullest. He has a habit of doing calisthenics and then shouting "Victory!", a practice that has appeared multiple times in the show. It's fun, goofy, and exciting, but I also believe it's a great way to start the day. Even just 10 minutes of movement followed by a victory affirmation to get your mind to feel that today is a great day, even if you do have a 50% chance of being murdered again.
ラジオ体操第2、両足跳びで軽く全身をほぐす運動。
嘘。何？
俺の真似してやってみよう。ラジオ体操の真髄を叩き込んじゃるぜ。
Rule number 8. Look not for pity without, but for courage within.
わかるだろ。あいつらなんか生かしておいたらいけねえんだ。奴らを殺す。力を貸してくれよ。
When he's negotiating with Crush, Priscilla, and Anastasia, he isn't really negotiating. He's simply demanding and begging, and as such he makes no progress. It is only after Rem talks some sense into him and he recommits himself to finding the solution and not just venting his frustration to others, that Subaru is able to move the huge obstacles in his path and bend circumstances to his will. Never give up. Subaru comes close to quitting once, when he asks Rem to run away with him and to live life in a quiet village. Rem in turn envisions a clear vision of their happy life together. Yet she knows that in this happy world, there would be one glaring problem that she would never be able to overlook. She would know that Subaru would no longer be the one she's grown to love. He tells Rem that he isn't needed, but it's not true. It's just as Rem says. It's easy to give up, but he can't, because only he can do what Natsuki Subaru can.
道がどこにもないんだ。諦める道にしか続いてないんだ。なんとかできるんだ。俺だって。
スバル君、諦めるのは簡単です。 スバル君には似合わない。
Rule number 10. It's not about me. Subaru begins the story as an entitled otaku deadbeat. His aloof personality may be charming for a while, but in the end, he isn't helpful. As such, it is fitting that he begins his journey being jumped in an alley. It seems that the wise expect a lot of themselves, whereas the fools expect the world to give them a life of ease and fortune, and then complain when they do not receive such a life. It would seem that in life, the results we get from the world correlate directly with whom we are. Subaru starts off as a simple boy who, although not evil, is not noble. As he continues to progress, he faces immense grief, heartache, and struggle. He suffers and suffers and suffers. And when he thinks he can't take any more, he suffers more. And yet this suffering continues to hammer away at him. It doesn't let up because he cries. It doesn't stop because he wants it to. And it continues to break him down. Only when he finally accepts, surrenders, and refuses to let people down does he find that the greatest hero ever was inside of him all along.
そういえばあの時、両手を誰かが握ってくれて。ラム、レム。二人が苦しむ俺を見てらんなくて、両手を握ってくれていたんだとしたら、そんな奴らだったとしたら、俺は放っておけんのが。絶対に殺してやる。
Subaru is an amazing hero because he is us at our weakest and at our finest. At the beginning of this video, I asked if a person can be happy if his life is filled with suffering. Perhaps a person can only become happy through suffering. Maybe it's there to shape you into something more. But success can only come when a man ceases to look outside himself and looks for the governing force within that grants man the ability to conquer all without. Subaru is a masterfully created hero because ReZero is the story of how he became a hero. Through the love of others, he overcomes his self-absorbed tendencies to save the world. The first time I watched this show, I didn't really think much of it, other than that Rem's confession of love was really beautiful and I couldn't put into words why it was so touching. However, upon rewatching ReZero over and over again and meditating on the nature of Subaru's character, I've come to see just how powerful his story is. Welcome to the world of ReZero, where we aren't given a fantasy world where the hero is handed a rich and rewarding life on a silver platter. Instead, the world of ReZero is a harsh one. And yet through the cold reality of his new life, Subaru defines what his life will mean for himself. He finds meaning in protecting Emilia, Rem, and the rest of the world. And through his own inner strength, Natsuki Subaru begins to mold himself into one of the finest heroes that I have ever seen.